Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves an album from Reap the Light titled Deliver Hell. And if we switch over to here, and what's looking like a very metal album, assuming this is going to be rock or metal. We've got 10 tracks today. We're going to be reviewing the first 6. We've got Reap the Light as well as a few other musicians involved, like Serush Guidanian, Natalie Estrada, Jodan, Chris Lyon, Chloe Oswald, Giuseppe Corsella, Paulina Faustova, and Nicole Willerton. So this is exciting. Not only do we have a band who can perform well on their own or write their own music, but they also collaborate, which is pretty dope. So we're gonna listen through each of these 6 tracks, the first 6 tracks off this album from start to finish. Hear what we think. Let's go, man. Let's do it. Burn in Hell, track number 1. Nice padding on that distorted guitar. Oh, both coming in. Sick. Okay. Instantly very, very happy with the quality of the performance we've got. The tone of those guitars, the bass and the drums is very, very professional. The mixing's sensational. You can tell a track's mixed well by the sound of the bass. You know, getting electric guitar tones, definitely like exactly what you want. Same with the drums, but that bass, sitting how it is in the mix, everything's sounding fantastic. Oh, that vocal fry, scintillating, isn't it? Taking away their freedom, they can't see through the lies. I see, so there's a bit of deception going on here. Dope. Yeah. This is sounding fantastic so far. I love the tone and the coloration of those vocals and how well they mesh together with the other elements of the mix. And that note that he's singing in some of the tails of those vocal melodies has that tritonish kind of element to it, which adds a little bit of dissonance to the mix and makes sense with the story we've had so far. Cool, we're doing that double take. Dude, I love how we rose up in terms of the harmony. We rose up in that latter half of the hook. Or maybe that was a bridge going into the hook. The transitions are so seamless. And yeah, just that little bit of extra brightness in that guitar part, that rhythm guitar, just elevated it, both like harmonically and it just, I'm happy with it so far. And going back to this killer intro riff that we had. Heavy as hell, dude. Burn in Hell. Burn in Hell. Who do you really serve? The story is being developed here. We're trying to figure out what the true intentions are, the true motives. Really, you know, like Burn in Hell, especially with the album artwork and this intro track, everything makes a lot of stylistic sense. Everything seems like it's in unison there. The guy handles those growly bits really well. It kind of gives you a Lamb of God kind of feel with it. You know, I think that having that part, the growly parts, as a second half of it, even if it's not totally clean, like a cleanish, gritty-ish kind of vocal side, just going between those, having a bit of melody, then having like the intensity and the visceral nature of the second half. It's a nice contrast, and it's great that it loops between. Oh, there, the bass tone is sensational, dude. Like, you get the low end with it, but there's also that brightness which gives it a bit more presence in the mix. There's dynamic range to this, so his hi-hats are quiet, but you can still hear them, you know? And those whispery bits, great engineering. Okay, I'm liking that we're extending this interlude, it's great. Hey, cool. Cool. I'll comment on this in a minute, we just listen through it. I wasn't expecting two sides to this. Wow. We're going between some like mid 2000s like new metalcore stuff with like the thrashy stuff of the late 80s, early 90s with like Metallica and Slayer and that sort of stuff. We've got a nice combination of elements going in here. I think it's the best attributes of both of them. I dig it. I dig it a lot. You know, the phrasing for both of those solos, you could easily follow along to it, but there was also freneticism and sort of a sense of chaos to it, especially in the latter halves of some of those descending melodic runs. It was fun. And the drums also picked up a little bit. We haven't really had a lot of the double kick or anything like that until now, but it was nice when we got a little bit faster into the double time stuff that we had that intensity increase and more happening on the percussion side of things. Feels like a really full sounding complete track, you know? I'm gonna give that a like actually. There must be a whole of the chorus, I think. And back to that intro riff, cool. You didn't need more than this. Sick. Smart move to have that extra little bit of vocal fry there and extend that. And back to the panning we had to start. Wow, that's a thoroughly professional sounding metal track. I appreciate that. I've got no complaints about that whatsoever. It was a whole sounding track. It had as much as you needed to keep yourself contained throughout. Never got dull. There wasn't any filler in it. Well done to Suruj Guidanian on their work. I assume they may have done the vocals, but we'll have to find out, of course. They could have been doing the guitar solo or something like that. We'll listen to Fade to Black, track number 2. With Natalie Estrada? Natalie Estrada, cool. Cool. Excellent. A little bit quicker with this one. I'm liking those, I'm liking how we're a little bit more melodic with these rhythm parts. A more explorative with the fretboard with that stuff. It's great. Nothing wrong with power chords, but changing up between tracks is good. Oh, we're getting a bit more of that lead stuff in there. Another sensational vocalist. She's got a fascinating voice. It's really sweet. There's some natural vibratos going on there. I'm not necessarily saying that the story is sweet. You know, talking about fading to black, whose name do you call out? That's some really dark stuff going on. There's a really pleasant tonality, regardless the way that she's singing there. You know, lots of attitude in there as well. It fits really well, harmonizing really well with the rhythm section, with the guitars and everything like that. You know, the bass following the root notes for the most part in this section. And we've got that constant accompaniment there that I think allows us just to continue flowing through the track. There's a little bit of extra ornamentation there with the legato bit in there as well. Like, she's handling her vocal range really well, and everyone else is just so tight. I'm really impressed with Reap the Light so far. Cool, going back to an instrumental section. I don't mind the vocals, like, don't get me wrong. I don't like it when songs are vocal led, but when we've got other musicians here that can play their instruments really well, it's nice to give them a bit of room to breathe as well. It's finding that sense of balance, you know? She reached it. I'm going to give this a like just for that, because that was a difficult thing to hit. That was a difficult note to hit from where she started that run. And you think she's going as high as that, but then she elevates it further. Reap the Light know how to find the musicians they need to really make it work. It's fantastic first review of the day, to be sure. I love the gating they've got on their guitar and drum parts. It just stops, you know? Okay, cool. Smart move. Nice natural harmonics there, eh? And there's a nice resonance to those toms as well. I can hear the woo woo that comes from when you record an acoustic drum kit, and there's that room sound there. Class act. Class act. I think this track was more about like someone who was like giving into the voices and fading to black, and like there was obviously not something quite right going on there. I remember them saying like becoming a slave to the devil or something like that. So maybe they're acting on behalf of the devil by fading to black or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I didn't get all of it, but that's okay. I was focusing on a lot of different things at once. I nonetheless appreciate Natalie Estrala's vocal performance, as well as the work that Reap the Light did to work, you know, to gel with her and get her to fit in nicely with the music that they were doing together. And you know, it's 2 for 2. You didn't really need a solo in that song, I don't think. You had enough going on with the vocals and the other parts of the, you know, the arrangement to not really need an additional interlude or solo section. Now, it's smart. Smart stuff from everyone involved. We've got The Reckoning with Joe Down. Those distorted guitars are so tight though. I don't know what they're using to gate those guitars, but they just it's a really sexy guitar tone, to be honest. Okay, this is actually really slick. I like this a lot. Like, I'd actually listen to this outside of reviews, and I don't say that often, but they're killing it, dude. They're killing it. Oh, fantastic harmonies. The day of reckoning. Don't want to be your prey. Are they talking about the person that they're discussing coming after them or something like that? Or trying to avoid being the one that's taken out? Interesting. It's nice to have the guitar and everything else slow down to make room for the power in the vocal performance here. Those highs that we're hitting were just, they were admirable. You know, to get that vibrato at that height after ascending that vocal range is just stunning. You can have a minimalist approach with the other instruments when you've got that amount of energy going on in that part of the mix. Oh my goodness. That's genuinely impressive, like, to be able to get those notes that clean with that vocal fry there. Damn, man. Interesting. I think I'm paying more attention to the melodies than the words within a song, like the vocal melodies as opposed to like the words. Just because like I like the way that he's flowing in amongst the power chords and the drum grooves and everything like that. I like how we've kept that intro theme that we had instantiated at the start with those melodic parts on the rhythm guitars, and we're just kind of developing it as we go along. We didn't abandon it. We're keeping with it the entirety of the way, and it's just really good songwriting, you know. The initial approach simple and keep it engaging as from start to finish. The mask is ripped away. Fate has called your name, the mask has been ripped off. So I suppose this was someone that was pretending to be someone else, and they have now been exposed, and It's a day of reckoning. They're gonna have to face the consequences of their actions. This is an interesting interlude, by the way, this one here. Oh, this is a very eloquent little lead solo there. I did hear the whispering part, by the way. I couldn't quite make out what was going on. We'll have another go at it, just real quick. Like, I get what they were going for there. There's just a lot going on. I can't quite make out what's being said there. It's cool though. I like the different approach with the vocals. Okay, we're sort of extending the solo section. It's nice to have the you know, the really frenetic fast stuff, and then just to hold the note, have that sense of instant contrast with it, have a change of energy levels even during a guitar solo, even if it's like 16 bars, you know, or even 8 bars. Just have diversity, have fun with that, you know, like keep it interesting. Ooh, those pentatonic bends, dude. Cool. 16th triplet fill? What I like as well about the chord progression within this chorus is that sometimes people will just repeat the same 4 chords over and over for the 4 times they do it. The second time and the 4th time, they go a bit loop, boom, 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 boom. They go to that chord instead of the other one they do in the 1st and 3rd. And I just like that little bit of change there. It shows they're paying attention and they understand they need to keep it sounding fresh. Keep the drums simple at this point. Nice contrast. Because what happens is when you have the 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of groove on the drums, if you then do a really intricate fill after that, it's like, whoa, what's happening? And you go like, you know, you go back in those double kicks after, and it's like, people are like, wow, what's this? This is exciting. Whereas if you just do the same type of drumming with the same type of groove the entire time, people are used to it. They may even be bored by that mark, you know? Oh, that was quick. That was quick. The Reckoning. I mean, it felt like it flew by instantly. I'll give that a like as well. I like what was going on there. I mean, I've talked about what I think the song was about. Briefly. I know there's probably some context I missed, but there's just so much to appreciate with each of the 3 tracks that we've had so far. In regards to the decisions with the arrangement, with the melodic and harmonic ideas and musical motifs and such, it should be noticed as well that despite the fact we've had 3 different singers, they all sounded like they fit in with the overall sort of coloration and style of the album. So it's not only that you found 3 really great, unique singers. You know, like I can identify them separately. They definitely got their own sort of like way of approaching it. But you managed to get them to all work together and sort of like amalgamate in a way that doesn't ruin the flow or structure of the album. So that's fantastic. We've got Deliver Hell with Chris Lyon. Okay, halfway point. It thumps, man, it slaps. I'm thoroughly stoked with this, eh? Ooh. Ooh. Again, that panning of those rhythm guitars there. Cool. Oh, that was a sexy little drum fill there, I dig that. Yeah, like in a track that's over 5 minutes like this, you can have yourself an instrumental section without the verse vocals coming in straight away, you know? Allow there to be space for the music to breathe. I like the way that the vocalist Chris Lyon was harmonizing beautifully with those third intervals that the rhythm guitars were playing there when they weren't doing the chug chugs. I think a lot of the power of the singing, the mic section, because I keep saying vocalists the whole time. I'm trying to increase my vocabulary, and I basically need to read a thesaurus. I think that's probably the best approach. But I think that what gives the vocals power and these hooks. I just said vocals again after saying I need to use different words. I think what gives this particular singer, this performer. More power and more presence in the mix is that they're harmonizing their vocals. They've got a low and a high, and that's just a really easy way of stacking and making a chordal effect here. That gives it a bit of an identity and a position in that mix in the center field around and between everything else. And I think that's a smart decision from a production and a performance standpoint. Delivering hell. They're gonna deliver hell, man. I dig it. I wonder if this is like a chronological album or something like that, you know? I've got to appreciate the determination there. Some of the stories within this album are really cool. I'm sorry for interrupting the guitar solo, by the way. Oh, okay, we've got some neoclassical stuff here. I mean, like, the solo resolved nicely at the end. It felt like there was a constant state of tension and dissonance throughout. While we were working within the scale and mode shapes for the most part, we didn't start with that root note. So we didn't start where a lot of us would assume a solo, or did we? We'll go back to the start of the solo. I just want to make sure I'm not talking nonsense. I'll skip back to where we were before in a moment. What was that? That's like a 6th or a 7th or something like that. It's a really interesting note to start on here. It could have been trying to relate back to the original rhythmic motif, but I like how explorative we're being with these lead lines at the same time. I like how they're not predictable or we're not phoning it in, you know what I mean? But again, it does resolve nicely here to the root note. I get it. Okay. So I think that first half may have been like the kind of, let's just kind of step away from what we've had established so far and do something a little bit different. So we had a sort of a lead line or a melody just a concept where it was kind of hovering away from where everyone else was, and then we went smack back into it for the second half of the solo just to bring it back down to earth. And then coming into this interlude section here is a smart move as well. Oh, there's a bit of drive on that bass, is there? Great. Good work not recycling anything we've had so far. I like that we're doing something new here. The transitions were seamless, so there's no issue with it. Is this like a completely separate section, like a B section or something like that? It's a grand escape than what we've had before, isn't it? Oh no, we're back. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. I'm not like entirely sure how I feel about us like bow 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 ba da da boom. I'm not really sure how I feel about that transition there. It's cool. It's like a risky one because it's quite going down like that. It's just why am I feeling this way about this? I guess because I'm expecting it to like keep with its root note, but then that would have been so boring. I've already established that they're not wanting to do this with this song as per like the solo section and other parts like that. It's totally fine. Hell yeah, man. They sound like they're unrepentant about that, and I dig that. What a great fourth track. Again, there's a lot to appreciate here. It's a very deep one. It's obviously had a lot of thought put into it. We're not just doing verse, chorus, and then calling it a day. We're putting those interludes in, those double part solos. It's just that little bit of extra love and care put into it that I have to admire them for. That there's no half-assed performances here. Reap the Light, they take this seriously, and so do the vocalists that they work with. If I Give a Damn by Chloe Oswell, and Reap the Light, of course. Oh, cool. We're starting with a solo section this time. Well, I know we had the rhythm motif coming, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Oh. Great job. Great job having that solo come into the verse like that. It's a nice little introduction for Chloe Oswell to sort of do her thing as well. Sorry, I just wanted to like stop when she stopped. So she did the similar thing to what I think Natalie Estrada did, where she went, hey. She went beyond that. I'm not a singer. I'm not gonna try and sing like her. I couldn't do it if I tried. But, damn, Reap the Light. They knew exactly who they were looking for to lead these tracks and tell those stories, and it's scintillating, dude. It's also nice to have this guitar solo-ish verse, guitar solo-ish kind of thing. I'm wondering if this track is more through composed rather than what I had previously. If I Give a Damn, man. What a track. Oh, we were thick as thieves, but you have killed that love and left me here to mourn or something like that? Classy. Yeah, it's great. I like how we are offering a little bit more room here for Chloe Oswald to do her thing. You know, we weren't just we weren't trying to go back into another sort of solo section here. We were more than happy to allow her just to elaborate on what we'd heard so far. And I think not having that solo there was actually a deliberate thing to contrast between those two verse and sort of bridge patterns, I suppose. Okay, interlude section. Nice call and response between those guitars and the drum fills. Oh, that wah pedal as well. Chef's kiss, dude. Chef's kiss. Nice galloping by those rhythm guitars as well. Okay. Wishing for the old days. Damn, she came in straight at the right point, man. It's such a professional performance from everyone involved. It's just exactly where you need it. Holy shit, dude. I love the confidence now that we have to do this chorus twice. It's a killer chorus. That the ba da ba 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 or whatever she's doing at the end there is just she's got such presence there, dude. And there's a vibrato there. There's a confidence in the vocal performance. It seems effortless. Well proud, man. Just before we go on, I could hear a very subtle higher harmony there, or a higher recorded take. And it's a smart move to have that extra layer subtle. Just so you're like, oh, it's the outro, but oh, it's huge. And it's just the little tiny sub layers that can sometimes make something utterly... I mean, I can't fault it, so I would have to assume it's damn near perfect. You know, to be honest. We've got one more track today, which is kind of sad because I've been enjoying listening to these guys today. Yeah, Reap the Light, you know, with their album Deliver Hell. I'm not gonna pretend that like metal, rock and metal, they aren't some of my favorite genres, but at the same time, I'm also not gonna pretend that I have a bias towards it. There are, you know, acts that I've listened to before that I've just not vibed with, you know. And even if they're like technically really phenomenal, if it's soulless, if it's just if there's no appreciable sort of direction for it or a sense of purpose for it, if it's like too much of an ego project, I just don't really vibe with it. But it just seems that there's just a phenomenal fundamental chemistry between all the people involved in this, and it just seems like something that everyone was really passionate about. So I'm happy to have had the privilege and opportunity to be able to review it. But we've got Hollow by Reap the Light, Giuseppe Corsella, Paulina Faustova, and Nicole Willerton. Hey, it's acoustic with some strings. Smart move, nice contrast halfway through, dude. Stylistically and texturally.
I fight to keep my breath. The noise is so defeating, cheering for my death. See the scars upon my skin, they tell my life story. But the scars upon my soul remove signs of glory. All the voices in my head scream with cries of sorrow. Love is so.
It sounds like everything's kind of in the center of the stereo field, and I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm not sure. I mean, if we'd had one take of those strings, I suppose you have to put them in the center, don't you?
In my life, still my heart feels hollow.
That's nice and wide.
My soul feels dark and cold. To my sanity, I try to hold. Reaching out for something more.
It's a nice change to what we had previously, though.
What am I living for?
Nice bit of tension there. What are we going to do with it? We're going to keep with it.
Like a
There was a piano in there. I thought I could hear a piano with those strings. Very subtle.
spirit in the night, panic leads into my mind, searching for what is real. I wander around blind, battling demons every day. I feel I fail the test. War has taken its toll on me. My spirit just wants to rest. All the voices in my head scream with cries of sorrow. Love is always in my life, still my heart feels hollow.
Yeah, that bum 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 kind of vibe. I'm not sure what style of music that is. Like, I know I've been told what that is before, but it sounds sad. Like someone is sort of exposing their innermost self to you, and they're feeling hollow, and they're feeling a sense of lack of self. It kind of makes sense that they're approaching the musical, the instrumental part of it like that. A little bit more hope in this.
Feels dark and cold.
It's almost like we're a little bit more major in this chorus section because we're realizing that the soul feels dark and cold. Where we're realizing that there is that situation there.
To my sanity, I try to hold. Reaching out for something more. What am I living for?
I think having a lack of the bass, guitar, and drums in this has been a smart move. It allows us to see what Read the Light they can do outside of their main wheelhouse. And I think that if you could have done this with guitar, bass, and drums for sure. Like I think there have been tracks within the genre that have had talking about like mental health and like the soul and our sort of internal dissonances there and our struggles with our sense of self. But the strings, the piano, and everything here, they just make it seem a little bit more authentic somehow. There's a little more vulnerability there,
Angels reach out to me, bathing me in light. I hear their songs of life and love, my ally in this fight. Day burns away the night.
It's nice to go a little bit higher on that piano line as well, a little bit more sparkling and high register.
Hoping I'll fuse my fight. I accept this fate no more. Am I worth living for?
got a powerful voice, ain't she? That's a really powerful voice. I'm wondering how they recorded that one. Was it a live session or something like that? It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great track because this is the conclusion. Hit Deliver Hell by Reap the Light. 6 tracks off of it, or the first 6. It's been a reasonably. I think it's been a longer review, probably because I've had lots of stuff that I want to point out and discuss. And I apologize if the pausing of the music is irritating. I feel like if I don't talk about it at the time, I might forget that at the end, you know? I will give this one a like just because I appreciate where we're going with it, and I like the fact that we're trying something different. I think before we go any further, you'll probably have noticed that I liked every single track within this album, and that is, I need to stress that is not a usual thing. For me, I listen to like a lot of really cool, well-produced, well-performed music. And I suppose just occasionally I hear something I'm like, yeah, no, that just seems like it's on the next level. And I personally feel that Reap the Light with Deliver Hell have got something really special going on here for a lot of different reasons. Some of those I'll talk about within this conclusion. I think with the start with the stories of the individual tracks, I mean, I think Burn in Hell was the kind of the reckoning and Burn in Hell, I think are kind of interconnected there. Burn in Hell, like it's like someone who's lying to people and like twisting their faith and their actions and stuff, and they're being sort of deceptive and not being true, and you know, you hope they'll burn in hell. And the reckoning is about people facing the consequences for their actions and being exposed to who they really are. Fade to Black is someone, I think some of it was being like a slave to the devil and such, so it's like, you know, losing your integrity will cause you to fade to black, or like the voices are telling you to fade to black or something like that, to be obscured and not even be human anymore. Deliver Hell is about continuing forward and trying to press on to try and sort of fix things in whatever way you can, and like not giving up, and like you're not safe in the warpath, you know what I mean? They're gonna deliver hell and they're gonna do it without fail. And If I Give a Damn, that was more, I think, about like a situation where the two people were connected in a relationship, and that things didn't entirely go well, and they ended up apart. And I think If I Give a Damn is about like whether the person speaking actually cares about it or not, and trying to process the situation and what occurred. And Hollow, as I mentioned, I think is about someone sort of looking into themselves, trying to understand better, someone trying to understand themselves better, appreciate who they are, what they're doing, wondering why their soul is so cold and hollow, and what to do next about that. I think that all 6 of these songs showcased really intriguing stories that were delivered well by the individual vocalists. We had some growly vocalists, some ones that loved the kind of the power metal, high vibrato stuff. We had some really fantastic clean vocal passages here, some lovely melodic sections and some whispers and all sorts of vocal styles in here. Sarouj Gudanian or Natalie Estrada, Joe Down, Chris Lyon, Chloe Oswell, and as well as Giuseppe Crisella, Paulina Fostova, and Nicole Willerton. I'm not sure specifically out of the 3 who was singing there, but either way, everyone involved did a spectacular job, and the singers were great, and they emoted, I think, appropriately to the subject matter that we were talking about there. Showed great vocal technique, comfortable within their own ranges. Like occasionally I might have heard someone kind of getting a little bit close to the limit of what they might have been able to do within their head voice, but aside from that, it was really comfortable performances. And the words came through reasonably clearly. I can't promise that I heard everything clearly, but that's okay. I think there's just a lot of stuff to take in and appreciate. I might have missed some parts, and by might, I probably have, and it's all right. The structures for these songs, where it had the verse bridge choruses. You had these really luscious solo sections, some of them 2-parters, went through different parts, with 2 different, entirely different sections. There were obviously interludes, and I think Deliver Hell, If I Give a Damn, it just had an entirely different vibe to it. Like, we stepped away from that original motif entirely, but we looped back into it seamlessly. The transitions were great, and I think that the individual sections, if there was something a little bit unusual that we hadn't had before, was to either support the new theme that we're instantiating with the vocal parts, or it was there to simply provide a palette cleanser before like a solo section or like going back into the chorus. Ultimately, I think like the instrumental performances, like the guitar, bass, drums, and the string parts as well, and hollow, as well as the piano parts, it was great. It was a great showcase of the individual talents and musicians involved. Nothing ever felt like it was overplayed, even with the really fast, frenetic, thrashy guitar solos there with those 16th and 32nd note bits. I think they showed that they could be minimalist in the sections we had, like just the bass and drums, for example, or just the power chords, or just enough to elevate the singers involved. But like at the same time, they knew how to shred, they knew how to do those really cool drum grooves and fills and all that kind of stuff. The bass, even the bass got around a little bit. The bass exploring the fretboard, but the bass was supportive as well and provided a great foundation for the other elements of the mix. So yeah, people not only knew how to play, but they knew how to cater for the other people, and there was a great teamwork and sense of chemistry among all the people involved. Finally, the recording, mixing, and mastering was sensational. I've got no real complaints about it. Burn in hell all the way through to If I Give a Damn, with the production there with the guitar, bass, drums, vocals, and everything else involved was sensational. Hollow was good. I liked Hollow. I'm wondering, the piano sounded like it was kind of in that mid 70% left right range, and I'm wondering why that was. I realize that for you it's the opposite, but for me it's left and right. For you that'd be left and right. I feel like I'm wondering if the piano parts could have been a little bit wider in Hollow and just had more space in the dynamic range, you know, just for things so that you had more room for like the strings and the vocals and stuff like that. But aside from that, I was happy with how the vocals and strings and stuff sat in Hollow. Great album. I'm sure the next, or the last four tracks, should I say, are just as good as these first six. Fantastic first impression to Reap the Light. Great work. I wish them the best of luck in future. But effectively, this is my review of Reap the Light's Deliver Hell. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this album, please go check out Reap the Light via their various social medias and the Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as eat the hell more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.